No, but it's
They'll be able to hear you as soon as preview starts.
perfect. That way everyone knows we're about to go.
We're previewing it. Give me 1 second. We are live.
Okay, this is Patrick BetDavid, host of the podcast, and my guest today, my co-host today, Josh Feuerstein, and apparently Adam Sostin is taking a bathroom break for the entire episode today.
The entire episode. He's in the
But
restroom.
we have a friend with us, Ray Crockett, two-time Super Bowl champion, 40 interceptions. And Ray, you used to have your own show on, was it Fox or ESPN before?
Fox.
You had a show
Fox.
on Fox before. Yeah, so
Fox, Crockett's Corner. I had radio TV, Denver Broncos affiliate. Yes.
But you were doing some stuff with you and John Stanley before, right? You and John
yeah,
had a
we
show
did the Best
together.
Damn Sports Show.
Best Damn Sports Show. If you've heard
Yeah.
of the Best Damn Sports,
Oh,
this was
huge.
05, 07. Like you guys were the
No,
first
this
ones to
is-
come
yeah,
out
we
with
were
it.
the, we were. Well, Michael Irvin was one of the first ones to host. I actually took Michael Irvin's place when he went to ESPN and started broadcasting. So,
Very
yeah.
cool. Well, it's good. So apparently we're going to talk a lot about sports today. We're going to talk business. We're going to talk BLM. We're going to talk about
Little side note.
his perspective.
It wasn't the first time he shut down Michael Irvin, you know?
By the
Oh!
way, that-
Pow.
True.
That's
True.
a good one right there. So let's get right into it. By the way, shout out to Adam. Adam, we miss you. We miss you wherever you are. I know your community. Believe it or not, no one in this podcast has more of a definite, what's the name I'm looking for?
Infamy.
A unique name than he does.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
fair to say? None of us have a name like he does by the audience, but let's get right into it. We got a lot of things to talk about. We got the Lebanon explosion to talk about, tragic event that took place there that cost many people's lives, and many are missing and thousands hospitalized, which we'll get into that. Disney took a big hit. Revenues fell 85% due to the parks being closed. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about New York Times estimates as their digital revenue exceeds print revenue for the first time ever in the history of New York Times. This tells you kind of direction things are going right now. We'll talk about New York City with Cuomo begging rich people to not leave. Please stay. But I'll tax you, but please stay. But we'll quarantine people for 2 weeks, but I'm begging you, just stay. We'll talk about that a little bit. Little bit of big tech, little bit of dollar crashing. I think Josh has got some nice words to say about Joe Biden, which we'll get into that. And then Trump's recent interview with HBO Axiom is what we'll talk about as well. Well, let's first get right into Lebanon. I think that's an issue that's pressing and everybody's talking about. A few facts I'll give you, and then I'll get into it because you had some strong opinions to say about this. So a couple things that I have as of right now. 2,750 metric tons of ammonium nitrate that had been stored there for 6 years, okay? And the president was asking, why is it that it's been there for 6 years with no accountability? Then after that, while this took place, the explosion, there's many different videos. I'll show one of them here in a minute of what took place. Nearly $3 billion of damages as of what they know right now. It's cost 300,000 people to be homeless right now. All of this is taking place at a time where the hospitals already didn't have enough room for COVID patients that were going in on top of the explosion. All of this is going on at a time where the president had shut down the power in Lebanon to only 2 hours a day. They didn't have any power, so think about how bad the situation is. 2 hours a day. Unemployment in Lebanon right now is 25%, and their currency since September has dropped 90%. So it's not the fact that they just had this explosion. It's not as bad as it is right now what took place. On top of that, they had all these other things going on. But I think the most important question to ask that a lot of people are wondering right now is, Trump gave a speech yesterday and he called it an attack. He didn't say it was, something that happened accidental, irresponsibility, any of that stuff. What are your thoughts, Josh, of what happened in Lebanon?
Okay, let me first of all start by saying this. No matter what political conjecture I may give here, we do not, by any stretch of the imagination, does it represent any sort of feeling of, well, it's okay that people got hurt because real people died. Right. Okay, real people have gotten hurt. I think that it's important, though, that we look at the geopolitical and everything that's going on there, not just today, but even going back a couple of years. Now, you have to remember is that Lebanon borders Israel, okay? In just the last week, Hezbollah, which for those that maybe don't understand a lot of the stuff going on in the Middle East, Hezbollah is the next to ISIS, Hezbollah and ISIS are the two big state sponsors of terror, period. Of course, a lot of money coming in from Iran and a bunch of other countries that sponsor this sort of terror. So Hezbollah is very active in Lebanon, and even in the last week, Lebanon allowed a bunch of Hezbollah fighters to go across the Israeli border, and of course they were met with some resistance and they chased them back. And Netanyahu even came out and said, Lebanon, you better be careful, you better get Hezbollah under control, stop sending them across our border. Now if you go back to, I believe, 2018, you'll actually see a speech that Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, gives to the United Nations. And he puts up a graph, and in the graph are circled 3 different spots that he says they are building weapons in these areas of Lebanon, particularly the port there in Beirut. And Hezbollah was coming out saying, we are going to destroy Israel. We have, he says this, an ammonium nitrate bomb that we are going to take out their port. Period. He said it's going to be a big, beautiful explosion. So all of this
was 2 years ago.
Yes. Okay. So this is
and
all.
This has been there for 6 years, by the way, just so you know that.
Yeah. So this has all been leading up. Now it's a whole nother interesting story about how the ammonium nitrate got there from Russia, et cetera, et cetera. But fast forward to now, present day, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you have this. What was it? 2 million pounds of ammonium nitrate, or is it 5 million pounds of ammonium nitrate? What the heck do you need 5 million pounds of this for? Okay, so he's saying they're building weapons here. Now, boom, there's an explosion, and I think that you're going to show a video that's maybe tells a little bit of a different tale than what's being shown in the media. But now there's an explosion. Now, do I think that it was Mossad? Personally, I do, and I'm the most pro-Israel person that there is, okay? Do I think it was Mossad? I think it was Mossad. Now, do you think that Lebanon is going to admit that? No, they come out and say, no, this looks like an accident or something. Why? Because they don't want to admit that they were making weapons there. Is Israel going to admit? No, because people, unfortunately, are killed. And the casualties of war, unfortunately, we see in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like the casualties of war are usually the innocent civilians. They're usually innocent people.
Right.
But to me, this is Israel saying, no, the UN has let your weapons program go far too long, and they see an opportunity with COVID, the shutdown and stuff.
Right.
And
distractions.
Yeah.
Basically, there's so many other distractions. So while you're being distracted, we attack.
Yep.
Silently.
Look, and our hearts still go out to all of the people who lost their lives and the people that were injured. But I also think that we need to look at Lebanon and say there are penalties for harboring terrorist regimes. And unfortunately, a lot of these terrorists are such cowards that they go and they hide their weapons deposits in schools and churches and synagogues and stuff because those are the safe harbors, and they know it's bad publicity for Israel to ever attack any of those ports. But last thing I'll say is former CIA operative Robert Baer, who was assigned to the Middle East expert. He looked at the explosion and he said, from all of my years in intelligence, I will tell you right there, that plume of smoke, that big red plume of smoke, and that sort of explosion, that is not simply ammonium nitrate. That's weapons munitions that are being exploded. And that's the CIA operative that operated in the Middle East.
And that's what they do professionally with this. Kai, can you get that video up? If you can get that video up. Meanwhile, Ray, what do you think about this? What do you think about this whole situation here?
I mean, it's tough because, like Josh said, innocent people got hurt. And that's the thing about it is that when you hear of explosions like this, the one that happened in Oklahoma City bombing, the one that happened in Texas, you hear all these different explosions. What gets lost in it is that innocent lives were happening because you start to hear all the different reasons, Are they trying to find the weapons, or are they trying to kill, stop the regimes from fighting it? But the innocent people are the ones that suffer. So that's the difficult part. But I mean, I'm listening to Josh, and I like to know when you say something like this happens and they don't want to admit it. There's two different sides there. One side, you said they don't want to admit it because they don't want to say that they're storing weapons. Then the other side won't admit it because they don't want to admit that they're actually at war with each other. Why is that? I mean,
well, okay, so it's the same reason that when these guys get hacked, all right, these large corporations. In fact, Pat just did a video on the number of corporations that are hacked every single year. All of these hackers steal all this data. They have access to all of this very sensitive data, but the companies do not report the hack. They end up paying the hacker off to give the data back, destroy it on their end, and disappear. The hacker's not going to admit to it because they don't want to go to jail, right. And the company's not going to admit to it because they don't want the publicity and the stock price of their company absolutely going.
An embarrassment. It's embarrassing. Hey, you were strong enough, they hacked.
Yeah, look at what happened to Sony just 5-6 years ago when they got hacked. When they got hacked, it turned into a huge scandal. Their stock price took a huge tumble. I mean, so both sides don't want the PR nightmare, but I can promise you right now, again, I don't necessarily represent the views of Valuetainment. These are my own personal views. But if I were a betting man, I would put all my money on the fact that Mossad, and if you get a chance, go watch Stuxnet. If you want to know how crafty Mossad is, go watch Stuxnet and watch how they took out the Iranian nuclear plant. But let me make this one last point. The harbor that was destroyed normally would have a lot of people working at it, okay? If you think about an explosion like this, it's actually a miracle that there hasn't been a massive amounts of casualties.
Right.
If I were to look at it as an outsider, and I were to look, and I would say maybe Israel did this because they said, what can we do to inflict the least amount of casualties during COVID? Again, only 2 hours of power.
Home. Right.
Everybody's away. So so obviously you know what it's like to be downtown San Francisco, Oakland, Denver, and those areas are shut down on Saturday and Sunday.
So basically,
it's
perfect
a ghost
time.
It's a perfect time to hit it with the least amount of casualties.
Okay, put this video on. I saw this video the other day, and watch this. This video was shared by my sister. If you can go back a little bit, started from the beginning. So watch this. Okay, so it's showing there was something when you're watching in slow motion is going in. Whether that's a drone or whether that's an attack. I mean, that's explosive right there. That's not just, you've seen things before. You don't see something like that,
So what could that drop it be?
I don't know. And by the way, I don't even know if that could be Photoshop or not. All I know is that thing is going wrong. I'm not giving credence to it. I'm just saying I saw this, and I've seen this in multiple different places, but I'm thinking the credibility of how much of this is real and how much of it is fake, how much of it is set up, how much of it it's not. I think the real question we got to ask is the following is, do you think the truth of who really was behind this is ever going to come out?
I think it will when they declassify it. I think
now I'm talking in the next 12 months.
Right.
I'm not talking about 30 years from now.
And on top of that, there's consequences and repercussions to everything. What would be consequences to this then?
So obviously any sort of UN sanctions. I mean, look, this is why Israel made its case to the UN, but notice the UN did what about it? Nothing about it. Right. All right? But the UN does, like, for all the people that think that the UN is somehow, pro-world, they're not pro-world. Like, look at who in fact, it frustrates me that we have funded the UN for so long because we're the ones that put so much money behind the UN, and the UN is anti-American, it's anti-Israel. But now I think for the first time in a long time, the UN is going to be anti-China, okay? And it's going to be a great thing, very great thing. But I think that Israel they made their case. UN did nothing about it because it's not in their best interest to defend Israel. And I think that Israel finally said, dude, they're getting too close to being able to do something to us. It's time for us to take preemptive action.
So whenever you hear our president, and I'm not just talking about Trump, I'm talking about all presidents in the past, whenever they talk about something that happens over in countries like, you think that we have some correlation or some type of response when we give a response. What does that do to the U.S.? Because that's what people like myself want to know. What does that do to the U.S.?
Bro, the U.S. is involved in way more when it comes to things happening in the world than we will ever know. I mean, the CIA is used covertly in the more that you find declassified stuff coming out from the 70s, the 80s and stuff, you realize how much, it's funny because all of this talk about us meddling or Russia meddling in our elections.
Right.
The United States meddles in every single election. It's so hypocritical for us to be calling out people when Obama meddled in Israel's election. Like very, very.
I mean, we're still looking for weapons of mass destruction, right?
Yo, true. No. Hey, hold on. Hey. I am more than happy to talk about Bush, even though that had nothing to do with an election.
Right.
But no. I'm not the biggest Bush fan. I personally don't think that we should have ever been over there. I think that there was definitely some nefariousness to some of the people that. But I mean, if you're looking at me thinking because I'm diehard conservative that I'm behind Bush, he's done some stuff that's made me question him. Let's just say this.
Bush has.
Yes.
Okay. So going back to what you said, meddling in other elections. So if that's kind of where you're going, why don't we get right into the interview that was done with Trump and HBO's, I think it's Jonathan Swan. I've never seen this guy before. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
If you ask me, I like his style. I like the fact that he pushed.
He's interviewed Trump 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
before.
but I like the way this was taken. I have not seen anything else on him in the past before. This is the first interview I've seen him with Trump. And I went out there, I'm watching this guy thinking, okay, let's see how he's going to take it. By the time it was done, few comments that were made that's being talked about. Jimmy Kimmel, every comedian right now had a whole skit set up around the interview, whether it was "it is what it is" comment that he made, whether it was "I wish her nothing but the best" to Ghislaine Maxwell. It was a few of them that was said. I mean, it's not like this was probably not the best interview for Trump.
And he backed some of the stuff that he said. That's what was kind of
What do you mean?
crazy
He backed
about
some
it.
of the stuff that he said.
He doubled down. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, I made a mistake. Maybe I don't wish her the best. He actually came up with a reason for wishing her the best.
Well, that's his style, though. That's what makes him the guy that he is.
He'll double and triple down.
He will. He's not the guy that comes back apologizing.
Look. Trump is the only guy, and I am the biggest supporter of President Trump. Okay.
No.
But yeah. But
You
Trump.
Everyone's surprised here.
Anybody surprised
show
here?
shocked.
Okay.
Trump is a New Yorker, right?
Yes.
He
Right.
talks like a New Yorker. He shoots from the hip, which is why people love him. And guess what? Every once in a while, Trump's going to say something that may not come across as being factually accurate, but he is the one guy that can say sometimes 2 different things in the same sentence, but somehow make it seem sense. Let me give you an example. I'm telling you, okay, that's a horrible. Lots of people say they're a very horrible person, okay? Great person, maybe not. I don't know, okay? Could be good, could be bad. But great person, all right? So
Could be good, could be bad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But great person.
So New Yorkers have a tendency, there's a certain way that New Yorkers talk, and if you've spent time in New York, as I'm sure both of you have, like when you look at Donald Trump, you see a New Yorker, okay? And he knows how to be non-committal in a particular sentence, play both sides.
But how did he do in this interview? How do you think he did in this interview?
So me watching it, okay?
Yeah.
I think that it's confirmation bias for both sides, okay?
Right.
So I think people that hate Trump are going to look at it, and they're going to look at it through the eyes of a comedian saying, look at his stupid graphs and blah, 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 blah. I think that Trump supporters are going to look at it, and again, I'm admitting confirmation bias on both sides, and they're going to say, man, is the media ever going to give them a break, or are they just hostile about everything? Because it used to be that even Fox News, when they would sit down with Barack Obama, and there's no secret that the right hated Barack Obama, all right? But even when Fox News would sit down with, there was a level of decorum and respect that was given to the office, okay? And it was not an outright attack. Like, there may be a little bit of banter back and forth, but it was not like incessant attacks. They would even shake hands at the end. There was jovialness, and behind the scenes at the White House press dinners and stuff, there would be love exchanged back and forth. That's not the way with the media when it comes to this president. Everything is vitriol. It's vitriol. Imagine Trump having to walk into every interview knowing that he is 100% on the defensive. He's 100% always having to defend, like he's walking into a lion's den and not people that are actually trying to report news to the American people.
I would agree with that. But what I'm asking you is, how do you think he did in this interview? Like, were there certain areas where you said, okay, that was probably, if you know, you're watching your favorite player play. Let's just say someone plays against your favorite guy. You say, okay, he got him there. Okay, he got him there. That wasn't best moment. What wasn't his best moment for you?
Like, what made you cringe? Because I know, even though you're a great supporter, and I know you cringed.
Look. Here's my belief. Okay, is I think the best thing he could have done was outright condemn Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay, that's probably one. See, because I don't believe all lives matter. Because I don't believe pedophiles' lives matter. Just period. All right.
Especially, yes, I agree there.
So she like, if there was one thing I could change about anything, it's Trump being able to walk back that and say, look, I probably shouldn't have said that. You know, that's the one thing.
He said that a few times though. Why is he saying that a few times about her? You know, he said, you know, I don't know, you know,
but you know,
I've
they
seen
were
her in
really
West
good
Palm
friends
Beach,
in
and
West
you
Palm.
know, her boyfriend was in the jail, and I don't know if he died, he was killed, you know, suicide, you know. I don't know. I mean, I we'll find out. It's a lot of we'll find out versus ... You
well,
know,
their relationship is a lot more than just I've seen her a few times in West Palm.
But by the way, like for example,
they used to hang out in West Palm.
I'm not going there. But here's what I will tell you.
I mean, let's be real.
Do you remember the first time Jussie Smollett, okay, or Juicy Smollett, but Jussie Smollett the first time when the story came out, in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 African men having a MAGA, hat, came and beat him up, all this stuff, and they gave him a noose, and he was in tears interviewing with Don Lemon, and all this stuff was taking place with him. And eventually, you're watching Trump. The immediate question when they asked Trump's like, terrible what happened. They need to be held. You know, he immediately went to,
exactly,
it's terrible.
And it wasn't a pedophile.
And then that ended up being wrong, which is, it was just an act. That never happened. It was a setup. The guy gave him $3,000. The trainers came out and finally told the public what really happened. It was embarrassing, right, to Jussie Smollett. And then similar to what happened to Bubba Wallace. Why can't you just come out and say, listen, if all you have to say is what they're saying, that she and he, if all of this is accurate, what she was involved in, that's terrible. Yeah, but until it comes out, it's proof. Why can't you say that? So I agree with you on what you're saying.
Instead of saying I wish her the best before you, just the same way he said. Basically, his phrase was proven to innocent until proven guilty.
Sure. So look again. There's a lot of colloquialisms that and sayings that you find with particular people, and Trump has always followed up. Now, do I think it was a mistake when he said it the first time? 100%. I do not think he intended for it to come out of his mouth that he well-wished anybody. But here in Texas, we have a little saying like, well, she's an idiot, God bless her. Bless her little heart, okay? Now, if Trump was to say, oh, she's a flippin' idiot, bless her little heart, okay? The media would automatically say, he blessed her little heart.
Yeah. So go to what a conspiracy theorist who hates Trump, okay? How far could you go with that? Okay, play devil's advocate. So
let's play Ray Crockett then.
Yeah,
because
what I'm saying is, how do you view that? How do you process that yourself?
I mean, like I said, when I processed it, the first thing I said was there's a little more to the story than what is being displayed, because how could you in your right mind even say something like that, under those circumstances?
But are you saying, oh, he must have had some connection with them and something happened, or no? Are you saying he may have gone to the island? Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where you're going.
Yeah, I'm
glad
you going that there's. Well, I'm not gonna say that he necessarily went to the island, but I will say this: that they definitely had a relationship more than what he's saying. I've seen her a little bit in West Palm. No, you've seen her more than a little bit in West Palm.
Little fact check: who was the one person out of New York City that went to the FBI and filed a report saying Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile and you need to do something about it? Who was that? That was, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump. It was Donald Trump, the only guy that cooperated with the FBI and said, hey, the more I get to know this dude, he's got some issues.
Okay, but did he file it on her as well? He filed it on him.
Watch.
That's my thing. The relationship with him could be
He's the
different.
main guy, though. I mean, if
Jeffrey-
he says her, she's part of it. So because she's the girlfriend.
So,
But you blame one person, that's something else.
okay, look, West Palm Beach. We talk about West Palm Beach.
Right.
All right. We're
Been
talking
there
about
several times.
Yeah. Mar-a-Lago. Trump did what to Epstein? Banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. He banned him. Nobody wants
What
to
year
talk
was
about
that?
this.
What year was that?
I will find out for you.
Can you pull that up and
Okay,
find that? I'm actually
he
really
banned
curious.
him, but did he ban her? Because she's been at a lot of his rallies. She's been at a lot of his dinners and in the same place. I've seen
Ray.
But Ray, to be look, I'm pushing him as much as I'm gonna push you. Banning him is a form of banning her to me.
But I'm saying she was still going to the dinners and everything. So even though you banned him, she was still showing up,
Yeah.
taking pictures
Maybe
and everything.
at that point he didn't know her involvement and how much
could
she was
you-
involved.
She also took pictures with Elon Musk and stuff. Like, bro.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
okay.
trust me, I understand that, but I'm just saying,
Ray, let me.
if you ban one, I think you
Okay.
should ban the other if that's where your mindset is.
Pat's Instagram and YouTube famous. I'm Facebook famous. You're Denver Bronco 2-time Super Bowl champion famous. Okay, so no. Look. How many pictures have you taken with fans in your lifetime? An absolute insane amount. Okay.
Exactly.
Do you know their names?
No.
Okay, even ones that you see multiple times. In fact, how many groupies are probably in your pictures somewhere? Girls that were around the team with some of your teammates. They want a picture with you. You're Ray, lovable Crockett. You're nice to everybody. You're one of the nicest guys. You're taking pictures with the people.
Right.
How many could people come back to you later and say, you took a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell? Because maybe.
But here's the difference. The difference is they're not at my charity event, which I've done many a charity event. They're not at my charity event buying $50,000 tables in there. That's different. Now, you said I've taken pictures with a fan. Yeah, I've taken pictures with a fan.
Pat?
But somebody who's supporting or putting $100,000 at one of my dinners at my charity event, you would know that
But the
person.
difference is you went to the same charity event. So the individual that put the same charity event, you paid money to them. They paid money to them. It's not they paid money to you to come to your charity event. That's a big difference. By the way, 2007 is when Epstein's account on Mar-a-Lago was closed after an incident with another member's daughter. So this is what Trump did in 07. 07, Trump was, you're fired Trump. He was the apprentice Trump. So it's pretty interesting to see that 13 years ago. But let me take it to a different level. I'm taking it to a different angle. Why is he defending her? Okay? Why is he? I'm not thinking from his end. Let me explain.
I got you.
I'm not thinking from his end. Like, I'm not going to, probably he went to the island like
Well,
the
no, I'm
report,
not saying
like Bill Clinton had 26 times that you see the name on the list and all this.
No, I'm not
talking
saying
about
that. I'm just saying they had a personal relation. I'm not defending it as saying he's
I don't think
been
Trump's-
to the island. I'm just saying they had a more personal relationship than what he's making out to be. He's saying, I've seen her a couple of times in West Palm. The relationship was more than that.
Pat.
That's what I'm saying.
Pat, that's all conjecture. Trump is not defending her. You want to know who Trump's defending? Him. He's defending his statement, which was a misstatement. It was him misspeaking.
Himself.
Yes,
Himself.
he is not defending her. He's defending his misspoken statement that, in my opinion, okay, and I agree with 99.9% of the stuff that Trump does. In my opinion, that's one time that you come out and say, look, that was a slip of the tongue. That was me being New York, and stuff. He's doubling
So I'm
down.
saying something else. Here's what I'm saying. Is it fair to say that from the 1,511 names or whatever that came up from the book that Ghislaine Maxwell had, and a lot of different names were on that list. A couple of the ones that have been guests on Valuetainment, right? And we got a lot of messages. Hey, why'd you have Alan Dershowitz? Alan
Right.
Dershowitz on that list. And he's in a hot seat right now. Alan's going through some challenging times right now. But the reason why I'm asking this on why he's defending is a couple different things. One angle I go with is the following. Number one, I say, maybe, and again, I'm being the devil's advocate. I'm a guy, let's just say I'm a fan let's just say I'm a fan of Biden, and I really don't want this guy to get elected. What am I thinking? I'm trying to think like that person.
Right.
Okay. Is it that he is defending somebody on his camp? Is it that he's defending somebody on his camp that he doesn't want the name to come out because he's worried if he says something to her, that person behind closed doors says, hey, man, listen, I just want you to know I was kind of involved, 22 years ago or 19 years ago. I don't want you to push to her because she knows. And if she,
Right.
that's
And
one
she'll
angle.
unveil those
Okay,
things.
so imagine you're Trump and somebody's on the camp and they say, dude, can you please not push her too hard? Because she has something on me. And Trump's like, why the hell do you put me in this corner?
Right.
Why are you doing this to me? I don't want to defend her. But it's like, if you do and I come out, it's going to hurt me. So take the closest people that are in his camp, and maybe they have some connection, right? Let's just say it's not him. Now, I'll give you the next part. Here's the other part. The other part why I think maybe he's doing that is the following. Here's the other part, the angle that I take, is maybe he is trying to defend her because he wants to make sure she doesn't get killed, because he wants all those stories to come out. Maybe that's the angle. And maybe the angle is to say, okay, Epstein was in jail. I talked to Sammy Gravano. He says it's impossible, practically impossible. He was at that same place to kill yourself and commit suicide. It's not possible. I don't know how you would do it. Most likely, he was killed, but I don't know about suicide, right? Okay, fair enough. So if Epstein's gone, and you got a lot of people right now in politics that are worried, a lot of people right now in politics that are worried. If she's gone, it's pretty much over with if she's gone. Because all the other girls that were involved, people are, oh, yeah, well, I don't know. How old were you really? 17? Maybe you were 18. This picture was saying, how do we know this picture was taken this year? You seem like you were 18 years old.
Defamation of character. You can do something
you
to
can manipulate
that. Yes.
But you cannot manipulate her saying she's got 2 videotapes of 2 politicians having sex with a minor.
Huge politicians.
By the way, and then the other part that you have to be thinking about is the following. Okay, and by the way, if you're watching this, thank you for tuning in, and put a thumbs up if you're enjoying this, and share this with others. Let's see if we can crack 1,000 on a new channel that we started here. Put the thumbs up and share this with your peers, and comment on this topic. Why do you think Trump said the comments that he said about Ghislaine Maxwell? I'm actually curious to know what you think about it. Maybe an angle that we haven't thought about. So here's the last thing. The last thing is, if that comes out, say everyone's, it's Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton's video, and they have it, and Bill Clinton, and by the way, right now, we're working at homes on Palm Beach this week. When we look at homes on Palm Beach, guess what our realtor sent one home for sale to look at Palm Beach? Do you want to pull up the home in Palm Beach right now? The number 1 most viewed home right now in America. The number 1 most viewed home right now in America that's on sale. Do you know what house it is? Go to West Palm Beach. Epstein's house is the number 1 most viewed home for realtors in America. And people are not going there. Guy, Epstein, not okay, it's going to be all right, buddy. Go to it. No, that's not the one. Go to it. It's a $21 million house. I'll let you find it while I'm going through it. Right. The other part is this. Say it comes out that something happened between Clinton and a minor. Say it is on video. Say it is. Say it is, right? Okay. Who looks bad to the world? Who looks bad? Actually think about who looks bad to the world. Who loses here?
I think Hillary loses.
No. Who looks bad to the world?
Clinton looks bad to the world.
Of course they do, but they already look bad. But who really looks bad to the world? You know who looks bad to the world? America looks bad, because all of the other nations are going to say, look how dirty their people are. Yeah. Look how dirty. Yeah. So in a way, again, for me, I go to the conversations that's being had. Like, when you're on a team and you're injured, you're playing football. The other day we're talking about, and you were telling us that, look, when I played football back in the days, dude, we were injured by the time season started because practice was a game. Right. And we had 3-dayers. Right. And then practice starts, and hey, take the shot, man. Take the shot on your knee. I know it's not good for you. Take this. Hush, don't say anything. Let's keep it between us. How much of that stuff happens behind closed doors, right?
All day.
So I'm talking about what is being said about the hush stuff during that time. By the way, if you want to pull up the picture, this is the house right now that's for sale. That's the house in Palm Beach that they're selling in Palm Beach, right on the water. You're going to pay $22 million to have this house. And $22 million right now that's on sale.
You could probably get a killer deal on it.
That's what I was about to say. I'm sure you can get a better deal than
that
right now.
It's a similar thing that happened to the Never. What's the place?
Michael Jackson Neverland.
Neverland.
Yeah.
That place was being sold for $160 million. They brought it down. I think they're selling it right now for $30 million. Couple thousand acres on Santa Barbara, pretty much, which is prime real estate, and no one's still wanting to buy because that whole stigma of being there. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know why he said that.
Tell me this then, just on your last one. If that was it, if it's because he really wants her to be alive and stay alive because he really wants the politicians or whoever the names that are on the list to come out, then why don't you just say that? I mean, why would you have to wish?
I'm saying,
no. Wait. No, I'm not saying you say it in that manner. But why don't you say something other then I wish her well? Why don't
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Why don't you say she needs to be protected, or we want? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I will say this: the prison that she's being held in just got a brand new warden, right? So that they're trying to ensure her safety. New warden's name, Hillary Fenton.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton.
By the way, Michael Maiolo says, don't forget that Trump was the only person to volunteer his time and information for Epstein's prosecution.
Yep, 100%.
I think he knows she's going to cop out like Epstein, so he wished her well, hoping to survive to get some info. But good luck, LOL, she's gone. Okay, that's Mo Game Z. Okay, and you got to, if we find out the real truth, this government is over 70% of elected people in Washington are perverts and need jail time, says Zoltan Vaz.
Yeah,
so,
dude.
again, you don't know this stuff. I don't know the whole story. I don't know what's going on in this world.
Both the RNC
When I say this world, in the political world.
The number one place for sex trafficking, okay? Number one place for sex trafficking, prostitution, the Super Bowl. Number 2 and 3, the DNC and the RNC conventions, okay? Do I think there's bad dudes on both sides of the aisle? 1,000%. Do we need to weed them out and hang them by their necks? Dude, I thought
you were going to say by their nuts. I thought you were going to say hang them by something else.
First their nuts and then their necks.
By their nuts and
their necks. Pat,
that's a visual right there.
Exactly.
I believe with pedophilia that we should go back to public executions and that we should drive it so far out of America. I think we ought to hang these people. Every single one of these people that they're able to convict should be hung in the middle of Washington, D.C. for the entire world to see America does not mess around with pedophiles.
You would fit very well in the Middle East, by the way, if you were a leader. I mean, that's...
not here.
So now let's go to the next part. That's one of them. Let's still stay on the interview. What did you take from the angle of the data? Well, here's this. Well, here's that. Well, here's that. Well, listen, people are dying. It is what it is. It's happening. So what do you think about that part? Was that just
the first thing I'll say is I think my son, 5-year-old, could have did those graphs. That's the first problem. Pulling out the graph that I saw, I was like, who did that? Like,
I don't.
How old were you?
A graph is a graph.
But it was just funny the way it was shown. I mean, it looked like you were in elementary school. You see this graph? We're at the bottom means we're at the top. I mean, okay.
Hey, one quick thing to point out is that Maxwell's father. This is coming from somebody in the. I think Jai Patel is the one that originally said this. Maxwell's father was extremely connected in the political / secret underworld. Everyone says Mossad, everyone says this, there's CIA and stuff. So remember, her family has a ton of political connections and probably even more sensitive information outside of the pedophile island. Not to bring the topic back up, but I do think that this is what I love about valuetainers, Pat. Reading through the comments section, these guys are informed, okay? Like, this is not your average podcast audience. These are smart dudes out here in the comments section. So shout out to all of the valuetainers. Back to you, Ray.
No doubt.
So let's go back to it. Again, final thoughts, the interview. There was one part for me where I said the interview asked the one question that people are not asking, because Trump will say things like, look, many people are saying that, I should have even done this. And many people are saying that he kept saying, who's they? Who is they?
Right.
Who is they? Right? Who's they? And Trump's like, well, you can look them up. But who's they?
He never had an answer.
He never had an answer for that. That they is another double talk to kind of get your point across when you're studying people that are experts in that part. They, it's an out.
That's a distraction of throwing somebody else in there without throwing somebody else in there.
I think Trump underestimated the interviewer could come in with fire. And, the other part I will say is the following. Here's what I will say. Here's the part I will say. Again, I cannot tell you how much I respect this quality of Trump. I cannot tell you, Ray, how much I respect this quality of Trump, okay? Back in high school, okay, fight took place. You came after high school to meet somebody. Mm-hmm. You knew that guy was going to whoop your ass, let's just say.
Right.
But the fact that you showed up
anyway,
and you say you lost the fight, people would say, I don't know what it is with that guy. Eventually, the big guys just didn't want to pick on you because you were willing to fight them and you were annoying.
Yeah.
So eventually, you won the war, but you lost a couple fights getting there. The part about Trump, you can't put anybody in his league when it comes down to this. Nobody. You can't put Obama. You cannot put Bush. You cannot put Clinton. You cannot put Senior. You cannot put Reagan. You cannot put nobody in this at the level of Trump. And this is the level I'm talking about. You want to do an interview? Come on down. It's like that. You want to fight? Let's go. That's Trump's attitude. I'm not afraid of you. Bring it. That's his attitude. He sits down with adversaries that, if you're his camp, you would say, don't do this interview. I'm going to do the interview. You shouldn't do this interview. I'm going to do the interview. He doesn't care. If Ellen DeGeneres invited him to go on to chew, and she said, I will never have him on. If Ellen DeGeneres had him on, he would go.
Right.
Okay? If you have Jimmy Kimmel invited him back, or he would go. But he's not afraid of nobody. The interviewers are afraid of this guy when they sit with him because he's so fearless. That is one quality. If I'm sitting down myself and I'm thinking about somebody that's going to be the leader of a country, I'd much rather vote for a guy that's willing to come out than a guy that's willing to hide in a basement. I want the guy to come out of the basement and go to war, not the guy that's just, the guy in the basement sitting there hiding, don't say anything, like right now the campaign. The biggest criticism you're hearing of Joe Biden right now is what? The biggest criticism.
Where is he?
His campaign is don't campaign. That is his campaign. The campaign of the DNC right now is Trump sucks, Trump sucks, Trump sucks, Trump sucks, Trump sucks. Not Biden's going to do this, Biden's going to do that, Biden's going to, Trump sucks, Trump sucks. You can't win like that.
Yeah.
His entire plan is to make the election a referendum on Trump and not a referendum on Biden. If Biden campaigns, he eventually gets exposed, okay? And just wait for these debates, all right? Just wait for these debates.
And that's going to be the main problem for Biden, is that we all know that at times he seemed to be ill-equipped mentally.
Yeah,
sure.
So that's going to be the problem. If he can just manage to somehow, some way withstand doing those, then he'll be okay. But it's going to be tough for him, and we all know that. But back to Trump, when you say he's fearless and he'll meet anybody, basically, sometimes being fearless can be a form of stupidity as well.
No.
I
Do you
disagree.
not feel that way?
No, but so here's the part with him. He says, "You want to interview me? Ask anything. Ask anything." So, for example, I have guys that come in here when I interview them, right?
They'll tell you, I know. Yeah, give you that paper. Don't ask me this.
Don't ask me these three things.
Right.
You know what I say in the back of my head? I'll say, "Wow, it's crazy. The president's willing to interview and ask anything, and you're afraid of this thing?"
Yeah.
I've had people write.
I agree
So he's
there.
like, ask me anything you want to ask me. Go for it. And by the way, here's the reality of it. It's fair to say he got elected. He's the president, period. Yeah. At this point, what America wanted after Bush was Obama. They didn't want Hillary after Bush. They didn't want McCain after Bush. They wanted Obama. America, after Obama's first term, they didn't want Romney. They wanted Obama. America, after 2 terms of Obama, didn't want Hillary. They wanted who? Trump. Right. This is it. We are voting for this guy to do what he's doing, right? This is his style. It's not like we don't know how his style is. The difference between Trump and Obama is the following. You know how long Obama was famous before he became a president? How long was Obama famous before he became a president?
A year.
No. How long was Obama famous before he became president?
4 years.
No, he was.
No.
He became president what year? 08. When did he give the DNC speech?
04.
So 4 years he was famous before he became president. How long has Trump been famous?
A very long time.
What's a very long time?
Since his 20s.
Who has ever been this famous for this long, this relevant, and eventually became president? Do you realize when you're famous for that long, how much dirt is going to be on you until you eventually run? This guy is a guy that's not afraid of nobody. To be able to witness somebody like this today, 50 years from now, when he's no longer here, and they're writing history books about this guy, he is the most anomaly type of a personality we've ever had as a president. We've never had somebody like this.
So
everybody is so diplomatic. This guy's not a diplomatic guy.
So what do you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think the world was ready for someone as diplomatic as this?
I don't say that the world was ready for it. I think the one thing, I think a big part of America, like for example, like right now, perfect example to give you, TikTok's bullying. Okay, hey, we're going to be able to log onto your phone and get all the data. Really? Right. Yeah. Oh, we can get away. Americans are stupid. Let me tell you, man, they're idiots. Just give any American a good app and give them some music. They'll give you their information. They'll give you their... The Americans are so stupid. Give them entertainment. That's how China looks at Americans.
Yeah, no
We're
doubt.
smarter. We're brilliant. You're not. Americans are this. Okay, great. No problem. So guess what happens? TikTok tries to bully and bully and bully and bully and bully. Eventually somebody says, September 15th, you don't sell, you're out. So Microsoft's going to end up buying TikTok for $10 to $20 billion. It's a steal, by the way, just so you know that. Right. And on top of that, guess who TikTok helped? You know who TikTok helped? Instagram. You know who TikTok helped? TikTok could potentially help create a resurrection for Snapchat that's been dead for 3 years. TikTok could bring back Snapchat. That's how business works. So if you want to bully American people with misinformation in politics, eventually you're bullying American people to vote for somebody like Trump. You did it yourself. Yeah. Simple as that.
So let me quickly answer the original question. Why would Trump go out and why would he take interviews like this? What benefit does it have to him? Okay. So the guy's interviewing him for who? For HBO, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. He's interviewing. Now, where is that going to be played? It's going to be played on a predominantly liberal platform. Okay. There's a lot of liberals there. So who HBO or the left put themselves in a lose-lose situation when you say to Trump, hey, Trump, come away from Fox News and come over here, and why don't you talk to us for a while? Because are you going to change any of Trump's base's mind about him? Zero, okay? Trump supporters are Trump supporters. We're going to stick with them, period, unless he does something irrational, unconstitutional, et cetera, et cetera. But when I get the opportunity to go speak over here, now I have the opportunity to show my ideas to these people and potentially win them back over here. So to me, it's a stupid idea from the left to bring Trump onto any of your programs because the only loser can be you. Sure, you may be able to dunk on him for a couple points, but you're not going to change anyone's mind, which is honestly going to the NFL. I think the NFL was in a lose-lose position with Trump because is Trump going to lose his base over going after Colin Kaepernick? No, he's not. Like, his base is pro-flag, pro-America, pro-anthem. But does the NFL lose any of its market share? Of course, because a lot of conservative, like, look, Trump has 50% of the country that loves him, 50% of the country that hates him, right?
Right.
Okay. The NFL, pretty much the entire country love the NFL, right?
Right.
But now there's dudes like me that flippin' despise these players that are disrespecting the national anthem and disrespecting the flag. So
which they're not doing either one, but okay.
Okay, okay, but who's the loser in that situation? The NFL. It's not Trump. Trump doesn't lose any of his support, but the NFL loses some. I think, to me, it's the same situation here. That's fine. Let me walk into an adversarial situation. If I can take 10% of your audience and they say, maybe that guy's not all that stupid, I actually won. You can dunk on me all you want, but I won the voters. And to me, that's what Trump's going after. And Trump, to me, is doing a better job because he's going after social media while Biden just announced that he's putting the biggest ad spend into television. So I think this is Trump being relevant, going to places like Barstool Sports. He just did one with Barstool Sports, going on HBO. To me, this is him making an argument for you to vote for him. You know,
and some of it as well, like you said, some people may come out with that thought process, and then some people may come out with the other thought process, as you said, about New Yorkers. New Yorkers, I mean, right or wrong, they're known as major bullshitters. So some people just say, yeah, he's a New Yorker. He can bullshit his way through anything, and he's proven it. You also have that thought process.
It's funny. So one of the first meetings that Pat and I had when I came to Valuetainment, I won't get into it, but I drew a bunch of stuff.
I'm sorry. Could I say bullshit?
No, you can't.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I drew a bunch of stuff up on the board, and Pat looks at me and says, Josh, look, it looks good, blah, 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 but let's just be honest. You can BS your way through this stuff without putting any thought into it. I think Trump is obviously, he's on that level to where he can walk into anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what makes him, on to your point, I think that's what makes him fearless
but
as well.
But let's just say, okay, so So let's just say that's the case. But I tell you one thing he has that you cannot underestimate is he's a true believer. Period. This guy loves America.
And I agree with you.
So for me, if I have a guy, then I'll ask you a simple question for you. Let's just say he's a bullshitter. So I'll give you two different things. Say you have two options for a person to lead your country. A bullshitter who's a salesman who loves,
or a bullshitter who really believes.
No, wait a minute. A bullshitter who loves what America's all about. He's a bullshitter. He's a great salesman.
Right.
But he loves and will defend the idea of America. You ready for the other one? Here's the other one. The other one is somebody who, maybe isn't as big of a bullshitter. Maybe he's not a good liar, but he really could care less about America. He just cares about his own pocket, his own legacy, his own stuff. Which one do you want to lead? And he's
prepared.
Which one do you want to lead your nation? Which one do you want to lead your nation?
Of course, you want somebody who really has the core.
Welcome to the right.
For Trump.
You want somebody who's core value.
So you just,
but here's the thing, though. But if you have a choice, and that other person cares just as much, then I want that guy.
But
not
you don't
the
have that guy. You got the Biden guy here.
Well, I'm just saying.
If you had Michelle Obama, a different story. If you got,
right now, I would be the first to say that. As far as I say this first and foremost, I'm neither Republican or Democrat. I'm for what is right. I'm not far left or far right. I'm for right.
And by the way, I'm going to
say that first and foremost.
When we sit down multiple times and we talk, a lot of people say that. And they just kind of say it because it's kind of a safe statement to make. He's like that off camera, just so you guys. And I'm just telling you this.
I'm like that all the time. Like if I go to West Palms, I have plenty of Republican friends.
Yes.
I mean business part, whatever. And I tell them to their face, if I think it's right, it's right. If I think it's wrong,
so what do
it's
you
wrong.
think? So
and I don't care who it is. But over here, I think the Democrats. There's a problem. There's a problem because I don't think that there was anyone over on that side that was running at this time that doesn't have flaws, major flaws.
That's better than Biden, though?
You
had a couple people that were better candidates than Biden.
Yeah, I would say there's some that were better candidates than Biden, but at the end of the day, there was still going to be problems.
No question about it. But okay, so to go back to it, at this point of the game, your two options are Trump and Biden. Who are you more comfortable? Who are you more comfortable knowing to lead a nation? You.
I would say this. I would have to say at this point, Trump would probably say that you're more comfortable with. But at the end of the day, I'm not comfortable with either one, to be honest.
Do you have a 51-49 split rate?
Something like that.
Okay.
Seriously, I'm not comfortable with either one.
I'm with you. Okay. So I understand your situation. If Cuomo was running against Trump,
I would be Cuomo.
Okay, you'd be Cuomo. Okay, so now let's talk about what Cuomo just said. Okay, did you want him to show something?
Well, so the same way that you lovingly trolled our good friend, two-time Super Bowl champion Ray Crockett, I just want to quickly, while we're on the Trump-Biden subject, I want to show you, and I think you're going to appreciate this, Ray, okay? If you go to donaldjtrump.com, okay? Now, this is Donald Trump's website, okay? Just show it, all right? His website, beautiful website.
This is hilarious.
It's a great website, okay? But I want you, as Kai is doing this, Kai normally types a bunch of gibberish, all right? So he's just going to do what he does. And look, he's just typing a bunch of gibberish, all right? Oh, you put in characters that are not allowed, okay? If you just type in a bunch of gibberish on Trump's website, it says, "It appears you are as lost as me."
Let me tell you, that is so creative. Joe, do another one, just to kind of show to people, just anything.
Yeah,
go.
Just boom, and it goes straight here. Doesn't matter what kind of gibberish you type on Trump's website.
Oh my!
If it's a broken link, where most websites would say this doesn't exist, you know, return to homepage, he's gonna troll Biden with this. To me, this is next level. This is 4D.
He's a better marketer. He may be the greatest marketer ever running for office.
Of course. Well, at the end of the day, he's a businessman. That's what he does. I mean, that's he's been in marketing. Most presidents are not what he is as far as being a businessman, being in marketing, understanding marketing employees.
Do you want a president that's a businessman, or do you want a president that's a lifelong politician? Which do you prefer?
It would be tough to say because I believe that all politicians has different agendas. All of them have private
Ray,
agendas.
don't be diplomatic.
No, I'm being
gonna corner
honest.
you on
I'm being
this one
honest.
here.
But I would say
Give
this.
the answer you were about to give before you thought about it. That's how you
I will say this.
You were about to say this.
No, I'm going to tell you. I will be the first to say when Trump first started running. I mean, I've met Trump several times before he became president.
Yep.
And I liked him. And I'm not. I'll be the first to say. He was a good dude, cool dude. I never saw any of like with the tweets and all this. It seems to me he became a different person when he became president. I will say that. But as a businessman, I mean, I definitely
Still
thought
haven't
that
answered my question.
Yeah,
Would you
I would rather have a businessman that does business correctly.
So
perfect. So now let's
that
transition.
does business correctly.
This to me is, I think you nailed it. I think that you said something you may not have realized how brilliant what you said actually was, okay? This has been the problem with American politics for a long time, and this is why America loves Donald Trump, okay?
But this is why they wanted to love Donald Trump.
Watch.
Because they thought it was going to change.
The American system has been so jacked up for such a long time because what happens is this. Guy gets elected mayor, then he wants to become a congressman, then he goes to Congress, then he wants to be a senator, then he goes to senator, then he wants to be what? He wants to be president or vice president.
Because he wants to get paid.
But the problem, I would say it's less about getting paid. It's more about being power hungry.
But what comes with power? We all know.
Yes,
pay.
yeah. The issue is this, Ray, is that there's a lot of these guys that have been in the swamp for 30 years or 20 years or even 10 years before they become president. By that time, you've had so many backroom checks cut to you and so many allegiances.
Yes.
This is the way that the United States was set up by our founding fathers was this, is that there is a federal government. Okay, but the office of the president is the office of the citizen that oversees the federal government. This is the beauty of checks and balances. So the way that it was intended was for it not to be a politician that sat atop the federal government, not somebody that worked their way up through the system, but it was supposed to be a citizen that would oversee and represent you and me to make sure that the federal government never got out of control. For a long time, we have had a system, a crony system, where people work their way into office, and by the time they get there, they are corrupt, they have interest, except just to your point, this is the first time. This is the first time in our lifetime, and maybe since the foundation, since George Washington, that an actual citizen walked directly into the White House as a businessman and never went through the political channels. And people know the guy's already worth money. He can't be bought. If he wants to, 70 years old, he should be sitting on a beach with his feet in the sand. There's no way you're in that job unless you love America and you want to see America do good. That's why I want Trump in there representing me to China, because Joe Biden his son has received billions of dollars. Hillary Clinton's foundation, billions of dollars from outside interest. Trump walks in, they know they can't be bought. He's a little crazy.
Just because you love America doesn't make you right.
Bro.
I mean, you can say, I mean, just because you love America, it doesn't mean you don't do faulty stuff.
Bro, no.
I mean, that doesn't class. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't necessarily get you.
Is anybody saying that Trump's perfect? No. Okay, but I would much rather a guy with good intentions. There's a reason that my wife trusts the decisions that I make, okay? It's not because they're always the right decisions. I've made some bad investments in my life, but my wife trusts me to make decisions because she knows I love her more than I love me, and so she doesn't question decisions that I make because she's like, babe, I know that even if you make the wrong decision, you did it with my best interest at heart.
You just said something that was brilliantly said, and you so eloquently put it. You said, because she knows I love her more than I love me.
Here we go.
That's the problem. We think Trump loves him more than he loves us. Period.
Bro, then
he
why?
loves him because as you see, just like you said, if you love something else, if your why is bigger than you, then you're quicker to come back and say when you make a mistake instead of doubling down and continually shoot. No, you just said it earlier. You said you felt that Trump said something that was wrong. You felt it was wrong, and you wish he would have just said, okay, I was wrong. But that's not Trump, because Trump loves himself more. He doesn't want to be wrong. He's not going to admit that he's wrong.
You think Trump loves America more than he loves himself?
100%. Why would he watch? Why would
Josh.
No, Pat,
that's some
BS. Wait.
Josh, you don't believe that.
Why would Trump step into
Josh?
watch. Why would Trump step into an office where he knows that his net worth is going to take a huge hit if he doesn't love America, Pat?
Because he
hold on.
loves power more.
No, I
to,
don't.
to get
Look,
to be
look,
the president.
all three of us.
That's you. But wait. Here's your thing. You just said his net worth is going to take a hit by becoming president, but his ego is not. He loves his ego more. If he becomes president, and let's just say myself, if I had such a huge ego and I'm all about me, if I got $5 billion, I'm worth $5 billion, and I'm gonna lose $1 billion, but I'm the most powerful man in the world.
I come from a different school of thought. Here's a school of thought I come from. Let me and by the way, we have to transition to the next topic. We've been on this for too long. Here's a school of thought I come from. Okay, when you get on a flight, okay, and the flight attendant starts telling you the info, and they say, hey, you know, at this point, if a mask drops, make sure to protect who first? Yourself first before you protect who?
Right.
Your kids. Why?
Because you have to be okay for your kid to be okay.
But by the way, a mother is a better mother to her kids if she loves herself first, okay? And a father is a better father to his kids if he loves himself first. And a husband is a better husband if he loves and takes care of himself first and then her. But I understand what you're saying. I've met your wife. I know how she is. I know how much she trusts you. I know your marriage. I know what you've done, the decisions you made. You know, there's a tremendous respect for what you did. The point is, of course Trump loves himself more than he loves anybody else first. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's gratitude is a different story than love. Meaning, America gave me such an incredible life. Now I'm at a phase of my life that I may want to give back. But
Pat, would you die?
90% of Trump's life was given to Trump more than it was given to America.
Pat,
nothing wrong with that though. I'm not bashing it.
And I know the answer to this question. Would you die for this country?
100%.
Okay. Are you? And answer honestly. Are you a narcissist?
Yes.
All three of us are narcissists. Watch. Okay, but you're a narcissist. I'm a narcissist. You're a narcissist. You don't get to where we're at in life unless you have that level of confidence. Okay.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and I know what he's saying.
You can be a narcissist and still love this country more than you love yourself.
I think it may be a misstatement of yours because to me, a leader has to be loving themselves and respecting themselves before they can do it to anybody else. You have to have that internally.
His question though was, do you think Trump loves himself more than he loves America?
He loves himself more than he loves America.
But Pat, you love America more than you love yourself, right?
No, I do not. Let me explain to you. The reason why I love America is because I'm able to love myself and respect myself to the level that I do, that I can give more to the country I love.
If you said you would
if I didn't love myself, there's no way in any capacity I can give back to my country.
If you said that you would lay your life down for this country, that is the greatest act an American can ever do, because you are putting the ideals of America, the freedom of your beautiful little children, above your own personal interests. So the very act of laying your life, and you served in the military, you signed an oath that you would defend it with your life, which means that you love the ideals of this country more than you love your own personal well-being. I'm saying the same.
It's a responsibility.
Yes.
It's slightly different.
It's the same thing with Trump.
It can go many different directions. Let's transition to Cuomo. Let's transition to Cuomo. Okay, so here's the challenge that I'm seeing. And by the way, I'm so glad this is happening to Cuomo. And I'm so glad these numbers are coming out. And I'm so glad people are talking about this. And here's what it is. New York City loses hundreds of billionaires in wealth as residents skip town, begging rich people to come back to New York. Let me say this one more time. New York City loses hundreds of billions in wealth as rich residents skip town, while Cuomo is begging rich people to come back to New York. Here's some stats for you. According to a report from New World Wealth and Webster Pacific, the combined wealth in Big Apple fell by $336 billion in the last 12 months, ending June 30th. Let me say that one more time. $336 billion. New York City's total wealth was valued at $2.66 trillion compared with $3 trillion during the same period. Now, a lot of people say, well, people lost money during the pandemic. Billionaires have gotten richer during the pandemic. Yes. We know that fact. It's been talked about everywhere. But New York officially got poorer during the same time by $336 billion. That's like saying 336 billionaires left town. That's like saying 3,360 people worth $100 million left town. That's like saying 33,600 people who live in New York who are worth $10 million skip town. That's not a small number. So now, tax collections in New York City dropped 46% in June. Even while revenues generated in other parts of states recovered, that decline follows a 32% drop in May and 23% decline in April. United Van Lines CEO Mark Rogers told Fox Business that the majority of residents moving out of Manhattan, 61% of them, are earning over $100,000. Okay, and now New York is saying even if tourists come to New York, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So you watch this, okay? And for myself, I'll give you a situation here. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. We were looking at 4 states on where we're going to go after this to compete in the media market and what the plans were. We're looking at LA, okay? And in January, it's LA. We're going to LA. After Christmas was great. We had a great time with the family. We were looking at a couple nice, an old mentor of mine who had his house in Newport Beach, whom I used to go do speeches with at this Newport Balboa Club. His house was on sale for $65 million. You could have probably gotten it for $35 million. We were looking at some opportunities there, okay? Right. Then we looked at Greenwich. We looked at a couple. My wife grew up with horses. You know, the whole idea about kids being raised around horses. They're not intimidated by, men. So it's good to be around horses. We wanted to get a place in Greenwich, okay? Then we looked at here. Then we looked at Tennessee. Then we looked at Florida, okay? There's no way in the world a creative innovator can go to a place in New York or California and constantly be bullied and stay there long term. You have to realize California has such a great platform to sell on, but they suck when it comes down to taxes. New York has a beautiful platform to sell on. It's competitive, #1 market in the world to compete in. But you're starting to realize, hey, all of this BS about how amazing New York and California are, it's coming at a price now. People are leaving. You know where they're going? Do you know where most people in New York are going? Florida.
Yeah.
No state taxes, good weather, come on down.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to New York, half the people from
Water,
New York, half the people in Florida are from New York.
Yeah.
So, Cuomo, if you and I are talking, I asked you a question earlier. There's a game going on right now, Ray, that we're playing, you and I, okay? I asked you earlier. I said, if you had to vote between a Trump or a Biden, who would just say, I really don't know.
Right.
Then I said, if you had Cuomo, then you said you'd go Cuomo, right? Then I asked, if you had the choice between a lifelong politician and a businessman, you said, well, I don't know, but let's just say, okay, finally businessman, right? If Cuomo were to run America like he runs New York, unfortunately, people will not leave New York, they will leave America. If it goes the way this is going.
Yeah.
So what do we do with what is the responsibility?
But is he running New York like this because it's New York, or is it because of let's just say if he was somewhere else, if he was Florida, do you think he'd be the same?
Chase you no matter where you go. Your philosophies will follow you no matter where you go.
An abusive husband is going to be an abusive husband.
If you're a Christian in Britain, when you leave Britain, if you Christian come to U.S., you're a Christian. If you go to Iran, you're a Christian.
I get that.
So your philosophies follow you.
I get that, but in business, it's a different mindset. Like I'm a Christian wherever I go, but as a businessman, don't you adapt and adjust to where you are?
No way. Your philosophies. Your philosophies. Is Trump going to be different if he's in Kansas? Is Trump? You really think Trump's his style of business is going to be more in Kansas? Well, John, I'm so sorry. I don't want to push you too hard.
We're going to build a wall around Kansas.
I know I'm pushing you and cornering you.
But Trump was built in New York business
so
as well.
So
that's part of it. But I'm just saying that's part. But I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to say with both of those guys in actuality. Would they be different, or would they adjust according to where they are? I think they would. I think from a business standpoint.
I don't know what you're saying with that.
Because they went through New York their whole lives of business, right? So that's where their philosophy was raised, and that's where you got your philosophy from about where you were. Would you not have adjusted if you weren't in New York?
His philosophies are very close to his father's philosophy, Mario, who was the governor of New York, who people were begging him to run for president, and he said he doesn't want to do it. And Chris Cuomo is begging Andrew to want to run for office, and he's saying he's not going to do it. And Andrew is more like his father than Chris is like his father. Nothing against anybody. Chris used to spend more time. And by the way, here's the crazy. You want to know the craziest thing? Here's the craziest thing. When they're together, Chris and Andrew, I love seeing these guys together because all I think about is if one day my sons have a relationship like these two have, I will love that when I'm no longer here. So this doesn't come as a shot to them as a family. They build a legacy as a family. All I'm talking about is instead of bashing billionaires, when Amazon was getting ready to bring 25,000 jobs to New York at an average salary of $150,000, and AOC goes out there and says, they're going to abuse everybody. You know what her argument was? Do you know what AOC's argument was? AOC's argument was, if Amazon brings 25,000 jobs in New York for an average salary of $150,000, you know what she said? She said they're going to increase the rent. What do you mean they're going to increase the rent? A lot of people's salary is going to go from 80 grand to possibly 150 grand.
You want that competition. You want that to come.
The ideology of the politicians in New York is hurting the #1 financial capital in the world.
Because they're thinking politics first.
They're thinking politics and taxing the rich.
Yeah.
Biden's going to meetings and just saying, just so you know, my campaign is taxing you. I'm going to raise taxes the moment you elect me. So right now, deals are taking place. You know how many people are trying to get all the deals taking place this year because they're worried that Biden's getting elected and taxes are going to change next year?
Heck yeah.
People are frightened of it.
And they're making moves, too, as you can see, to Texas.
Here's data for you. Here's data for you.
Yeah.
Here's data for you. When Iran was bullying Iranians, you know what type of Iranians left Iran? You know how people say, how many rich Persians have you met? Persians in Iran. You go to L.A. Most Persians are what? How do you guys have so much money?
Yeah,
why do Persians have money? Because the entrepreneurs left Iran. The workers left Iran. I cannot live over here anymore. You cannot bully entrepreneurs who create jobs. You know what I love about what Stephen A. Smith said? Oh, my God.
And that's the truth.
Let me tell you what Stephen A. Smith said. We're going to transition to NFL after this as well. You can give some comments on Comey here in a minute, but I want to kind of combine these two together. I know you've been meaning to say something.
No, just one thing.
But I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to you. Okay, you guys went off on Trump for 45 minutes prior to this, but let me say this part to you. By the way, if you're enjoying this, put a thumbs up and share this content. We're getting to the last 45 minutes of this debate before we wrap up. But here's what Stephen A. said. Man, a media company needs to recruit Stephen A. away from ESPN. And they need to pay him a decent amount of money and go to Stephen A. and say the following. Stephen A., you know you're done with sports. You're deeper than sports.
Right.
You are done with sports. All of these guys are sports guys. You're not a sports guy. You're a revolutionary guy. Stephen A. needs to leave sports. Stop talking about sports. 100 years from now, ain't nobody going to remember Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
Because he's talking sports. Stephen A. has strong philosophies that his mother taught him that gets him to be able to reason. If you sit down with Stephen A., and Stephen A. talks about one time he was growing up, and when he was growing up, he got a ticket, and he did something stupid, and I don't know what it was. He tells a story on one of the interviews with me when we were together in ESPN, and he says, you know, I came home and I told my mom, it was because I'm black, and it was because of this, and da-da-da-da. And mom says, what could you have done differently?
Yes.
How can you defend them? What are you doing? And she says, I don't want to hear the fact that you were black. What could you have done different? I'm sitting there saying, wow, what a freaking value. And he says, today, Max Kellerman and him went at it for, you know, the whole Odell Beckham Jr. And Max said, I want NFL to be back because I'm a fan, but the right thing to do is to shut down the season, okay? And then Stephen A. says, no, I don't want the NFL to come back because I'm a fan. I want NFL to come back because thousands of people are relying on a job that get paid because of the NFL. Not even the athletes. These are regular people who have jobs. That's why I want the NFL to come back. And guess what? I don't have a problem if the owners make money. I don't have a problem if the NFL makes money, because if the owners and the NFL makes money, guess what makes money? All the employees.
Regular people. And that was
Trickle
New
down
York
economics.
doesn't understand this.
And that was the one thing that I
New
was
York
saying
doesn't
about
understand
the
this.
guys.
California doesn't understand this.
Exactly.
How do you not understand this?
I agree. I agree.
It's insane, and you want us to go. You want us to just sit there and say, "Oh yeah, no problem. Rich people are bad. Rich people are bad. Rich people are bad." We all grew up dreaming about what? What was some of the kids' main conversation? What would you do if you were a millionaire? We all asked each other this question when we were broke. I asked this question all the damn time because I hated being broke.
And mega millionaires or billionaires have made so many millionaires, so that you have to think about
that. How old were you, Ray, when you sat with your friends and you said, "Dude, what are you going to do, Ray, when you go into the NFL, you get your first $1 million contract? What are you going to do?" How old were you when you had that conversation?
I'll be honest, I didn't have that conversation, but I did have conversations of running my own business.
Did you have conversations of one day being rich?
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
That's the dream.
No doubt.
And were you,
no doubt. IBM is what I was really looking at. I was like, one day I want to work for IBM so that I can own a part of my own IBM.
Were you raised in a rich family?
No.
Were you raised in a bad part, not safe, where, you know?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I was raised at a broken family, mom and dad, you know, welfare kid. I'm the welfare guy that went around in a shopping cart collecting cans. we all dreamt about being rich. So now we're bashing people who want to be rich. I don't know if it's a good idea, man. And education,
that's definitely not a good idea.
That's not a good idea. So, Josh, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you got some things to say about Cuomo and all these things we're talking about.
Just one. Here's why Cuomo would never win as president. Ever, ever, ever. Not one guy in Texas, in the Midwest, not one guy that loves and respects himself is going to vote for Governor Cuomo because of one issue. You want to know what it is?
What's that?
He has nipple rings. He has the biggest nipple rings.
Actually, he would get my vote now.
That's what I was about to say.
The fact that he has the guts to get
he
nipple
had the
rings.
guts to get nipple rings. Because believe me,
America likes to make history.
Hey,
The campaign would be this. You know, the campaign
but see,
would be.
back to that, to be real.
Pull up a picture of
when
Cuomo's
you talked
nipple
about
rings.
that, though, for real, as far as business to business, the only reason why I feel more people will vote for Cuomo now is because they feel he would be more of an honest businessman than Trump. I think most people want a businessman.
He lied, though. Cuomo lied and said he doesn't have nipple rings. He said he doesn't have nipple rings.
He lied once.
Look, tell me this man, pull it up nice and big, Kai, right down here. Okay, the man has nipple bars going through. The man lied and said,
that's a bad lie.
I don't have any nipple rings. You can see right here.
Yeah,
Josh,
there's something
really
there. That's a
gonna
bad
talk
lie.
about his nipple
But
rings?
bro,
People got a lot of weird rings in different places. Buddy.
Yeah,
If you think that's a big deal, you ain't seen a lot of people.
That would stop
privates.
Look,
Hey,
Matt, yes or no, Matt? We got Matt Zapala in the house here.
the one and only.
there's a bunch of rings
Now,
going
the
on.
one thing Matt and I have in common is Matt and I, the one thing Matt and I have in common is we both married the first woman we kissed. It's the one thing we both have in common.
Yeah.
It's scientific.
Scientifically
Scientifically proven.
Pat, there is a question.
Shout out to Sheena.
There is a question that is coming in from the audience, and it's for Ray.
Uh-huh.
Are you ready for this question, Ray?
I'm not sure, but let's go. Look,
If-
I'm just as fearless as Trump. Let's get it.
If Patrick BetDavid were a tight end, would you lock him down?
Without a doubt.
Oh!
You haven't seen my moves. You haven't seen my moves.
And guess what? It doesn't matter.
Ray.
I've never met a tight end that could beat me. Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp.
Show him my highlights.
Tony Gonzalez,
Show
Shannon
him my
Sharp.
highlights.
Look, I
Bring
locked
it
them all
up.
down.
Me and Ellis Suazo. Show him my highlights at the Cowboy Stadium.
Look, unless he
gosh.
became a Hall of Fame tight end overnight, I'll lock him down.
All right.
Wow.
Well, maybe we got to do that.
And
Maybe we
look,
gotta do
guys, Ray Crockett, the number two Denver Bronco to ever live, number 2 greatest Denver Bronco to ever live,
that. Behind who?
Tim Tebow. Let's just be honest. It's Tim Tebow, the greatest Denver Bronco.
Well, I don't want to be on your list. You just ruined it. You just ruined it for the world. I don't want to be on your list.
The Magic Man.
So you got nothing else to say, Cuomo. So we're skipping that one. All right. So that's the part
So
with
wait,
Cuomo.
so let me just
Yes.
ask you this to close it out. In your opinion, and I know how you feel about, do you think Trump or Cuomo is the better businessman? Which one would you say? Honest, from an honest standpoint.
Better businessman?
Yeah, from an honest standpoint, because
No
both of them are
question.
businessmen.
No question
you
about
said
it.
Trump.
Trump. It's not even close.
From an honest standpoint, though.
No, I just think from the business.
I said
standpoint.
honest.
No, I give you the other part though. But let me tell you what let me tell you what I love about Cuomo. I will tell you this what I love about Cuomo. You have to realize that I have I like Cuomo. This is what most people don't realize. I've tweeted out saying I would love to see a Andrew Cuomo and Chris Cuomo show together. I'd love to see these guys together. They are hilarious if you ever watch these guys.
Great relationship.
I went and watched the documentary of his father, and I fell in love with the way that family was built, the challenging, the pushing, the competition. It's a very beautiful story, the Cuomo family. And Cuomo, to me, is very good on camera. I think the way Cuomo answers questions, I like his style of answering questions. I'm really a big fan of the way he answers questions. But there's a big difference between
He's become
how
such
you
a politician.
do that and how you run a state.
Right. He's become such a politician that he's.
Listen, let me put it to you this way. So think about it this way. Think about it this way. Teams, right? You look at a lot of different teams and you see what happens with certain teams. If you continuously, we get letters at the home office all the time, complaints about people. And, you know, if they're one-offs, we just say, everybody complains about somebody. Oh,
People that's running a team.
I wish I had a different broker. I would have, okay, no problem. But if we get the same message from different people that are not in the same office over and over and over and over again, then the problem's with the leader. The problem's not with the business. The problem's not with the individual. The problem's with the leader. Okay.
The common denominator.
Go to a sports team and a coach that players haven't liked to play for. Okay.
Yeah.
What coaches have players left that have, or organizations? Do you know any organizations people didn't want to play for?
Oh, yeah.
Many of them.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was a time where Clippers were about to have a massive exodus? Unless
No doubt.
if Sterling sells and he sold for $2.2 billion to Ballmer. How many organizations have you seen where they've said, dude, I'm not going to play for this owner?
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors, was there ever a team that you said, I'd never play for that team?
Yes.
Can you say publicly what team it was? It's been years.
It's been years. Bengals.
Bengals. You'll never play for the Bengals. Okay. By the way, who is it today that the NFL behind closed doors that say, I don't know if I want to play for that team or that owner? Is there any team today?
To date, well, it was the Browns for a minute, but now the Browns are coming back. But not
today.
Not many teams
Okay.
today.
So
Owners are different.
So
Owners are different.
They
compete better.
So who are a governor's players? Who are a governor's players? Your job creators.
There's job creators.
When you lose $336 billion of job creators, you may be having a problem.
And that's because you become more of a politician than you think about business, right? Is that in your opinion?
It's demonizing rich people, man. You know what? I'd love for politicians to come out with this campaign and say the following. A person says, these rich people, we're for you. We're for the poor people, right? Sometimes the Democrat campaign is what. So I asked my mom years ago, I said, Mom, what are we, Democrats or Republicans? And my mom said, we're Democrats. I said, why? She says, because Democrats are for the rich, Democrats are for the poor, Republicans are for the rich. You know what I told my mom? I want to be Republican.
Right, because you want to be rich.
I want to be rich. That's what I want to be. Okay, so here's the point. When's the last time you saw a campaign, somebody running and saying this? Look, my goal is that if you elect me, in the next 8 years, if I have 2 terms with you, I want to be able to say we created more millionaires than any other time in an 8-year period. By the time I'm done, I want to help you become financially free. I want to help you become a millionaire. I want to help your dreams become a reality. I want to help you live in that house that you want to live in. When's the last time we see that? We don't see that. That campaign today is, all he cares about is rich people. All he wants to do. I didn't say that. I said I want to get people off of minimum wage into making real money. I want to get people off of being paycheck to making real money. This message is, you rich people, you already have so much money, you should be wanting to pay more taxes. Oh, you know what, Kuma? The great thing about freedom of choice is we're moving to Florida.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with politicians that I never liked. And this was when I was young enough to start to, once I went to Baylor and, at Baylor University, there's a lot of rich people, a lot of politicians and all that. The thing that I never liked was that politicians run campaign off of where they get votes. And that's basically what you're just saying. I mean, Cuomo may not believe about the rich people, what he's saying, but he's running off of there's more poor people than rich people. There's more people who can see where they are and not have faith of where they can go. So I'm not going to run my campaign off of faith. I'm going to run my campaign off of where you are. So therefore, that's a sad situation, but it's true.
No. So look, this is that would be the worst marketing advice that you could give anybody when you're marketing a product. And again, a presidency is a product. You have to give people what's called a future-based proposition, which is actually what Trump did. Okay, this is if you want to know why I think Trump won over Hillary, it comes down to this. What was their 2 slogans? Hers was, I'm with her. It was a centric Hillary-based proposition. I'm with her. All right? Trump's was what? Make America great what? Again. He gave them a future-based proposition. He was the better marketer.
But here's the problem with that. When you don't do it, then you have this problem that we have now.
Look, every single infomercial starts with, here's, are you tired of clogged drains? Do you ever do this or do this? And they show the people fumbling around. Or have you ever dropped a bowl? Okay. And so they start there and then they give you a future-based proposition. This is what Trump did. And this is what I feel he's delivering on. That's a whole nother conversation. But you can't run a campaign from, let me talk to you where you're at now. You always have to say, let me show you where we're going to go. That's how you get people to buy in.
But no, I mean, I didn't say you talk to them about where you're at now, but I'm saying most people look at how do they get votes?
Fair enough.
How do they get votes?
I agree with you, but I dislike it. That's the best.
No,
way
I
to say it.
dislike it
Yeah,
as well, but I'm saying that's the politician.
Yeah. So let's talk about the
Politician's
NFL. Let's talk about the NFL. Should there be a season this year? No, you've been in the NFL for a long time. You're hearing Odell Beckham Jr. coming out and say, "Well, the owners are really treating us like this, and they're feeling like they have an edge over us." And Stephen A's coming out and saying, "Listen, either take the check or don't, and don't play. You have the choice. You don't have to play." Many players are coming out and saying, "I'm just not going to play, and I'm not going to get a paycheck."
And I commend those players.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Should there be a season this year? And is it possible to do it like the bubble that the NBA is doing, or it's impossible for the NFL to do it?
I think it's going to be close to impossible because the NFL is different, especially if you're trying to do the bubble. I mean, the New Orleans Saints are trying the bubble way. They're the only team right now that are putting their players in a hotel and trying, quote unquote, the bubble way. Most other teams, you go, you get tested. You might get tested every day or whatever. Now, the problem with that is you get to go home to your families and back into society or whatever. Now, when you come back, yes, you do get tested, but here's the problem with that. As far as I know, there's not a test that's going to show you right away. That test is not going to show up in your portal until 24 hours. So basically, you have 24 hours to infect anybody else, which we all know that can happen. You can be infected in 24 hours. So in my mindset, that's what makes it difficult. And it's such a physical sport. Unlike, that's like the dumbest thing I heard from the NFL, and I've part of it, been a player rep, was to hear them say, "We're going to play a game, and afterwards we're social distancing." What? I just spit on this guy, hit on this guy, sweated on this guy, and then afterwards I can't sign a jersey with him. What? What does it matter at that point? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So that's the idiocy when you start to say, okay, that doesn't make sense. And that's kind of where we are with the NFL. It's going to be so difficult. It's a physical sport. It's a physical sport. You can't get around that.
So is the better choice to just shut it down?
The better
and
choice
just say, let's wait till
is
next
to get
year?
a better understanding and shut it down until we understand
That's
it.
tough.
It's tough. And I agree. Now, what you made a point earlier,
Stephen A. Yeah.
and it was the point that I thought even with Trump and with some of these other people who said we're boycotting the NFL. I thought this the whole time. I'm like, who does that hurt? If you boycott the NFL, it's not going to hurt the players. It's not going to hurt they're going to play. They're going to get paid. What it's going to hurt is going to hurt the other people.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt the people who come to work every day. You can say you can boycott the NFL all day. Do you think we give a shit? Seriously? Do you think I care if Josh is in the stands? No. Because somebody's going to take Josh's place. You boycotting and whoever else boycott is not going to take away from the 60,000 people there's going to be 60,000 people that's going to show up.
Yeah. But
so we're still going to get paid, and they're going to get paid. And the TV deals are still going to happen.
When ratings go down, paychecks go down, period. I mean, that's now, are people still going to show up? Yes. But do I believe that boycotts work? 100%.
So do you honestly think the ratings are going to really go down? Seriously?
No. So,
I mean,
okay. Do I think it hurts the bottom line? Yes. But that's not even my. Let me just show you.
But that's not the point that we. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Here is my question. Are there even fans in the stands if they do play?
No, it can't be right now. I mean, because it's one thing that has been proven, and with Tulsa and all the other, even with the protesting and all that as well, everything has spiked since all those mass unions. Things have spiked. So I don't think fans would take the chance. You know what I'm saying? To even go out, even if you allow them all.
Oh, I think you're wrong.
There may be. Now I'm going to say there will be some that would take, but I think there will be spikes, and so therefore I don't think you take that risk. Right now, I'm hearing 10 to 15,000 at some stadiums would be the most. There's already been, they've given, I have multiple friends that have already got the letter saying that their season tickets will go to the next year. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because it's not often we have a player sitting in your chair. So how do you think it's going to affect performance of players to play in an empty stadium?
Big time.
Because it just gets your juices flowing.
Here's the thing. As a we are known growing up, you hear this all the time, are you hurt or are you injured? Stuff like, so it's that barbarian thing, it's that old school barbarian. You run through wall, I'll run through a wall for my coach and stuff like. You can't do that without somebody watching.
Right.
Your endorphins, that's what it's all about, is what gets your endorphins up to hit the way you hit.
So,
and believe me, here's the reason why they're called scrimmages, because there are no fans.
Right.
Scrimmages and games, there's only two. The only two differences is this: at scrimmages, really not fan. Games, fans. So the reason why scrimmages never look like a game, because you have no one to show off for.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you going to a place? Did you have a sequence of questions you're asking, or no, you're just having a dialogue? Because I had a question for you.
Go ahead.
Is which of the sports do you think it can work with? Because MLB, they're saying they're going to shut it down, and Rob Manfred, in my opinion, is the worst commissioner of all these sports. So you think out of all the sports, the only one that it can work is basketball?
I think so, because if you look at it, the interaction is different in basketball. And basketball actually sometimes, and I don't know if you guys played basketball before, but me being a basketball player and watching in smaller arenas, sometimes it looks better than in bigger arenas, because you know what? Guys, for whatever reason, I don't know why, as a basketball player, when it's smaller, your game gets better.
You think so?
I honestly believe that, because I've really seen basketball players that if you go up to the YMCA or you go up to Lifetime Fitness, not to give them any pub or whatever, but I've seen guys shoot the lights out the basketball and then get in a big ring and can't hit a damn shot. I'm like, dude, where was you? Was 12 for 12? But in the smaller arenas, mentally you're not thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Distractions and all that, you just let it go. Like, you've seen guys shoot the light out of the basketball lately in these smaller arenas with no fans.
The scores are higher.
The scores are higher.
Much higher.
Much higher. Yeah. And you seeing you seeing guys just shoot the light. Those same guys, you like, where was that at last year?
Well, that says a lot about pressure then, because the fans are screaming at you, and
that's what
saying,
it is. Less pressure.
You suck.
Yes, less
okay,
pressure. So when you out there just think about this. It's no difference than, I used to tell people all the time this. You used to say that, hey, so-and-so sucks. Like, they would say, that guy sucks. And I'm like, dude, let me tell you, if that guy made it to the NFL, he doesn't suck. Because at the end of the day, wherever he was, he played under extreme pressure to get here. If you flipping burgers and you got somebody behind you saying, man, that cheese needs to be right there, you be done drop the burger. So it's the same thing. It's that mindset.
Interesting.
So I actually had second row seats for a couple of years for the Phoenix Suns. And so, of course, you're right there on the floor.
Right.
And I would never really give the players a hard time.
Right.
But, dude, the refs, in fact, I would make so many players laugh, because I would come with a script of stuff, and I would tell bro, my favorite one, and the LA Clippers, DeAndre
Hopkins? Not Hopkins, DeAndre
the Clipper?
from A&M.
Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan from A&M, yeah.
He flipping almost peed his pants once, because I looked at the ref and I said, hey, ref, are you pregnant? You missed 3 periods already. And, dude, it was like, but I didn't sit there and hassle the players. It was about hassling the refs for me. But I think that the crowd brings a certain energy that, especially in football games. Okay, now, obviously, I grew up a 49er fan. Okay?
Right.
So we didn't like you as much.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
But I remember, well, actually, you would have played opposite him, Merton Hanks.
Yeah,
there was something. There was something about Merton Hanks. The crowd would get him going, and his neck would just start going. And bro, the crowd, the 60,000 people going, like, it brings something to the game. To me, watching, actually, to your point, people don't show up to watch you guys practice. Very, very small crowds. Okay,
small crowds.
People
unless
show up,
you're super team like the Broncos were when I played. But okay, go
ahead. People show up to games because of the atmosphere, the experience, and it comes across on television. I think
believe
the NFL's
me,
gonna have a hard time.
It brings it out of a player. Whereas there's a lot of negative that comes out of fans at basketball. I mean, look at when the Indiana players went in the stands and all. You never see that hardly in a football game. You know what I'm saying? You never, because
There's
it's
a lot more
different-
separation between the crowd
and it's a different cheer. It's a different feel.
That cost Meta World Peace $6.7 million.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Stephen
and
A.
even
Jackson 3.8.
And even look at Westbrook. Westbrook is always in it with fans. He don't have that worry right now. So he's out there just, he ain't worried about the fans.
He's got to worry about Lillard right now. That's his worry. Okay, so sounds good. All right, so we'll see what's going to happen there. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I know I saw LeBron yesterday after the interview. The reporter asked him, so what do you think about the fact that Trump said if you guys are kneeling, he's not going to watch? And he starts laughing. He says, "You're funny. You want to make me laugh today, don't you?" And then he said something like, "Listen, I'm sure."
And you pull that up, Kai?
I'm sure the basketball community is not going to miss his viewership.
Right.
And then he says, "But I'm not going to say anything else." And then he went out, tried to kind of give a little bit more of a diplomatic answer because his position changed to hear what he says. But
hold on, Pat. Let me tell you the thing that disturbed me the most about it. He can say what he wants about Trump. I don't give a flying flip. I want to show you here. If he's got it up, there was one thing that really disturbed me, and get ready to hit the pause button, okay? Oh man, we need the front angle, okay? Have you seen
his hair?
LeBron's hairline?
Yeah, I have.
Bro, the hairline during this interview, and you really only see it from the front angle, was like, bro, how do you show up even looking like this? Just shave your head, go completely bald, or do something. But when he puts his head down, it's a horseshoe right here, man. It's
now wait a minute. Now I can't see that. I mean, yes, LeBron should definitely get his hair cut. I mean, I would give you that. I've said that years and years ago. But wait a minute, your guy, come on now, that flying thing that Trump has, he should just take that off as well.
Oh, dude.
I mean, he's eaten it a couple of times, and you're talking about a hairline.
I 100%. I would pay. I think we should start a fundraiser.
I mean, that doodle sitting on his head.
Bro, if you let it all go down to one side, I mean, that's a nobody. I'll defend his policies. I will not defend his hairstyle.
Whenever you have a squirrel on your head and it's moving,
you just lost
I don't think that's a
You're
good
going to hear about it on Twitter later on today. You guys cannot talk about the guy's hair. But let's go do some business right now because, I mean, I think we all know where LeBron stands with that. So
wait, before we leave the NFL, can I just commend those players, though, that because, I've grown up and the whole time you're in the NFL, on a serious note, all you hear is, they only think about the money. They're so greedy, this, that, and the other. And those players that are thinking about their families and whatever, everybody has a reason, have to do what you have to do. I commend the players that are opting out because they're missing millions and millions of dollars, but they're actually putting their families first. And that, I guarantee you, a lot of fans would not have expected to see.
Yeah.
So I commend those guys for
I
that.
agree.
Hats off to them.
Let's talk about what is going on with New York Times. Okay, so I think, Josh, this is a part where you may want to kind of give us a little bit of feedback on what's going on. New York Times tops Q2 estimates as digital revenue exceeds print for the first time ever. Newspaper Group said it has net profits of $23.7 million or 14 cents a share in the quarter, down from $25.2 million in the year earlier. Adjusted per share earnings come to 18 cents, ahead of 3 cents. Revenues fell 7.5% to $403.8 million from $436 million, but beat the $390 million fact consensus. So when you're seeing the fact that these guys in New York Times added 493 net new subscribers to its core new product in the quarter, and 176,000 additions to the digital products for the new net digital additions of 669,000. At the end of the quarter, it had 5.7 million digital-only subscribers and 6.5 million total subscribers, said the CEO. What do you think? What do you think this says about where the direction we're going with digital media?
You know what? It's not just digital media, it's journalism in a whole, because this says a lot more than, like, it's funny, Pat, because these stories are tucked away in little places that people never read, and they just like, oh, okay, that's fine. But they don't actually hear the underlying implications of what's being said here, okay? Here's my takeaway. Now, how many people get the New York Times just to belong to, it's kind of like the members only jacket, right. All right? You get it just to have it laying there because when people come in your office, you want to look smart. A long time ago, digital media was already number one. But let me tell you why I think that there's actually a danger here. And you don't hear a lot of people talking about this. So now, when it comes to news, and boy, do we have some cold news coming out for you guys in the next couple of months. All right, but when it comes to news,
Couple of months?
No, well, I'm trying not to,
I get it.
I'm trying not to say anything yet. But when it comes to news, there is a huge issue because now everything's about speed to market, right? New York Times, Breitbart, everyone's competing for clicks. What's the one thing that I teach when it comes to virality? Everything's about speed to market. Here's the problem. When you're talking about digital media, everybody wants to be the first story. I'm going to pull a Pat. What's the problem when you're rushing a story?
You could get it wrong.
You could get
content.
it wrong. All right. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about print media is it may be tomorrow's headline, but if it happened at 10 a.m., okay, and you're looking to tomorrow's print, you're like, okay, this goes to print at midnight. We need to get all of the facts to the story and get it in the article before midnight. It gave you a window there that you could fact check a lot of stuff before it actually went out into print.
Right.
All right. So now reporters had a deadline that they had to meet, but it wasn't a 15-minute deadline or a 10-minute deadline. It was now a 12, 13-hour window, and you can make a lot of headway on a story and get it right. Now, everybody knows I have to be the first to market. So what ends up happening is you have a lot of unfortunate situations where you end up getting a lot of fake news, all right, or news.
Or just false news. It's not necessarily fake news. It's just,
false news.
Just like you said, they just rushed it and effed it up.
Yeah.
Not necessarily it's fake. It's just false.
So I think it's changing the entire industry, and obviously everyone knew that it was going digital. But I guess my big question is what sort of responsibility do we have in the age of digital news to make sure to get it right?
And the scary part about that is this: as long as we continually, and I say we as a whole, I'm talking about people in general, as long as there's no real consequences and repercussions of getting it wrong, you're going to get the same thing.
So if you were to Google my name, don't, all right? But if you were to Google my name, do you know how many articles that I could go back and sue the snot out of these guys
for getting stuff wrong,
for saying stuff like, I have had articles where they have said Josh tells people to go murder abortion doctors. That's the headline to the article.
Right.
I never even came close to saying that. Not even anywhere close.
But what did you just say earlier?
Or
you could sue them, but you don't.
Here is why. Okay, who has more money, the New York Times or me? The New York Times. And
exactly,
if they win, or even if I win, guess what happens? All they have to do is print a little correction on the backside of a website that nobody ever sees.
Once again, the consequences and the repercussions are not big enough, so you're going to continue to get false information.
I have to live with the consequences of their faulty reporting.
Right.
Okay? Or them saying, Josh says that people should fight Black Lives Matters with guns. What? Like, so
why would you say that, though? Why would you say such a thing?
So this is the problem with digital news is everybody wants a sensational headline. They want it fast, and they just don't get stuff right. And I think that there's going to have to be a big conversation that we have as Americans. And I don't know, Pat. I don't know about you, but I think that someone needs a new news site that just gives fact-based
But you
stuff.
have to understand as well with the
soon.
newspapers as well. I mean, with what we're going through right now, newspapers are normally, I guess, goes hand in hand with activeness. You know, when you're locked down, not many people, you buy newspapers when you're walking out, you just snatch it up, or you're at the store, you say, well, that's a problem right now. I'm not going to go out and die to get a newspaper. I take the false news right now. I take the false information.
Hey, can I make a little bit of an inflammatory statement? All right. I do not think if we had journalistic integrity and if we did not have people that were looking for flamboyancy and clicks and headlines and stuff,
right,
I do not think that we would have had the George Floyd riots. I don't think we would have had the Michael Brown riots. I don't think Ferguson would have happened. I think that, if we want to be honest, a lot of the problems in America come back to the media, the greedy media, wanting to make money and make headlines, and they end up giving this flamboyant, false narrative.
No doubt.
You know, so
no doubt.
So I think that
everybody is leaning toward what they want out there instead of the truth.
Okay, there you have it. Okay, next topic here before we wrap up. We got 12 minutes left. Disney. We got Disney or we got Sonos. Which story do you want to hit? Sonos is kind of interesting with Bezos. Here's what happened with Sonos CEO. Sonos CEO comes out. If you don't know what Sonos is, you want to put up the Sonos. I bought a couple of these. These actually work pretty effective. I think we have it at the office as well. Do we have a few Sonos here? We have it at the gym. We have it all over the place. These Sonos speakers work very well. You can set them up anywhere and they'll play, and the sound is great. And the CEO came out calling out Jeff Bezos and Amazon, saying Amazon selling smart speakers below cost is illegal. I got this article this morning from Steve Avetian, and it says, in the wake of its challenge to Google, Sonos has finally gone after the market leader Amazon, albeit indirectly, in claiming that the online giant sells its smart speakers below cost illegally, meaning they sell it to Amazon for $400. Amazon sells it to customers at $380. That's what they're saying. That's illegal. When asked by the representative whether Amazon priced its Echo speakers below cost, Bezos admitted that they did. Not its list price, he said, but it's often on promotion. And sometimes when it's on promotion, it may be below cost, yes. The CEO of Sonos says that's predatory pricing. That's illegal. They just take money from their monopoly business. They just subsidize. And then he said, we were encouraged by the hearing last week. You got to stand up to bullies. Obviously, the whole hearing that took place with Bezos and the rest of the guys. What do you think about this? You're Amazon. You know, you got the product that Sonos is selling. You know, Sonos is sold to a wholesaler here for $400, let's just say. The guy sells it for $470. He makes a $70 profit margin. But Sonos sells the same exact product that wholesale to Amazon for $400. Amazon sells it on a promotion for $370.
Right.
Is that illegal? Is that abuse? Is that a form of monopoly? Who is right in this argument?
I mean, just being honest, if you grow up in the hood, and there's a lot of people out there that hear me and know what I'm saying, there's one thing I hear first and foremost when I hear giant, right? So that means big. I don't care where you're from, giant means big. And growing up the way I grew up, the first thing you learn, gambling, or when you go out to a place and you try, big bank take little bank. And that's not illegal. That's just the way of the world. Big bank take little bank. Go to Vegas. Are you gonna break Vegas? You may do well, but if you try to break Vegas, what's gonna happen? Eventually, you're gonna lose. And that's basically what Amazon is doing. And I as far as I know, I don't think that's illegal. I mean, now is it forming a monopoly? Yeah, but that's what Bezos. He's been doing this forever. I mean, he's big bank. Big bank take little bank.
I say that big bank take little bank until all of the little banks say, you know what, screw the big bank. We're going to get together and we're going to find a way to take them out, all right? So
how often does that happen?
Well, here's what should happen, okay? You should have all of the guys on Main Street, all of the small dudes, get together with, I don't know, say the SBA, the Small Business Administration, and say, look, we need to come together with a message, and we all need to put a little bit of money behind it because we need to take down this giant. Because if I'm going to bet between Goliath and David, I'm going to... Watch the wordplay. Bet David, okay? And this is the BetDavid Podcast, all right? So,
I love it.
So what happens between David and Goliath is David gets smarter. He doesn't play Goliath's game. He doesn't go to him with a sword and a shield. What does he do? He says, I'm going to use a different kind of method, a different technology, a different approach. And he says, I'm going to kill him from a distance. All right? So he gets his slingshot, knocks out the giant. I think what happens here is that a bunch of the small businesses say, look, we're going to be playing a little bit of a different game. We're going to come together and we're going to get our messaging on point, and we're going to come up with a Main Street message that makes Americans want to ditch Amazon and come back to us. So you got to find a different way to play the game. It's like when Texas. So I'm sure you've heard the slogan, "Don't mess with Texas," right?
No doubt.
Don't mess with Texas was actually a littering campaign. It was a campaign that they came up to said, we need to find a way to message to Texans to stop throwing their beer cans out there. And they came up with what? Don't mess with Texas. And every Texan said, you're right, don't mess with Texas. All right? And we live in the greatest.
Just like that.
Yes. But they got together and they created a campaign that made Texans feel proud to be Texans. Okay? So we need to find a way to do the same thing. Let me also point out one quick thing about Amazon. A lot of people give Amazon a bad name on the flip side of the coin, and they say, well, Amazon's a big company. You got to realize this, guys. Amazon's an eBay, okay? Now, they do have their own brands and have all this stuff, but most of what Amazon does,
They sell somebody else's
they
stuff.
sell someone else's product. It's a
Yes.
collection of stores. So, like for everyone that's attacking Amazon, yes, Amazon's a huge corporation, but really what it is, it's a huge corporation that does the marketing, created a marketplace for a bunch of smaller corporations.
But here's the problem with that is that the reason why smaller companies don't do that because most smaller companies don't have the wherewithal or the means to be able to withstand such a long period of time.
Get together.
I mean, I understand that you get together, but at the end of the day, even if you're getting together, you still have different levels of resources. So that small company who has a great product but doesn't have the resource to last a long time has to go to the big guy and say, here, I sell this product to you in bulk because I can't afford to keep selling one-offs.
Here's a question that's not been asked yet. Here's the other question. First of all, the criticism Sonos gets is Sonos' products are built in China. They're manufactured in China. So here you are bitching, yet if the story comes out that your products are built in China, you're going to get
slammed down anyway.
Exodus on a whole different level. The second part of it is the fact that when they decided to leave China, and they still produce some of their products in China, but they're saying they're going to do it in America. The prices in January went up $50. Instead of like $5.99, now it's like $6.49. Or the other product was like $3.99, now it's $4.49. So they increased it by $50, which, by the way, this whole China tariff situation, a lot of the products you're buying today is going to go higher because it's going to be made in America. When it's made in America, it's a little bit more expensive because you have to pay the minimum wage of $7.20 federal or whatever the minimum wage be in some of those states, which is $15, right? Okay. But
in healthcare for most all that stuff.
That's right. Now, here's the other problem for Sonos. You're making comments like this. What do you do if Amazon says, we're sorry it's such an inconvenience. We're no longer going to sell your product because it's hurting you so much. It's so frustrating. Moving forward, don't worry about it. It seems like it's stressing you out. We're not going to sell Sonos anymore. Now what happens? They can do that.
Yeah,
right?
and that's what I said. And then that's where the problem comes. I don't have the wherewithal or the resources to stay in it. I'm going to go out of business. So it's kind of like OBJ bitching about the NFL, but you made a choice to go to work and take your check.
Let me also point out, since we're on the subject of China, okay, it's China. Let me issue a little challenge to LeBron James, all right? Let me issue a little challenge to LeBron James. All right, you're so tough to speak up against Trump. Why do you bend over and take it up the rear from Jinping? Like, why in the world are you okay with
There's a community for that, though. That they like that kind of stuff. You're saying LeBron likes that. Are you saying LeBron is?
So what are you trying to say?
I want to see LeBron stand up to China and say, you know what? It's wrong. It's wrong you guys having sweatshops where you make my Nike sneakers that I sell for absorbent amounts of money and you're paying them piss poor. It's wrong that you have all these human rights violations. Let's see LeBron, if he's so like full of all of these ethics and stuff and fight the man, stand up. Let's see him stand up to China because every time that China comes up, they all cower in the corner like little sissies because they're more worried about their pocketbook than they are about real human rights.
I mean, like once again, I feel most people have agendas, and it just depends on where your agenda lies. I mean, just to say, I mean, if you're making money like they're making money, I mean, it's no different than Jordan. Jordan wouldn't get in politics. Why? Because Republicans buy sneakers as well. So I mean, that's been going on.
I like the way he does it. The way Jordan does is he'll say, I'm giving $5 million to black charities, and I'm giving $5 million to the police department because when I was a player coming up, I felt very safe with the amount of hard work the police department. Are there bad ones out there? Yes, there is, but there was a lot of good that they did for me. I like his approach.
And that's why I say the same thing as far as when it comes to that. As far as the police officers, I have brothers and family members that are police officers, and I know they're good guys. So there's no way I could say one and then because you're talking about the same person. So to me, but going back to the China situation, I said the same thing as far as the NBA as a whole. Not just LeBron, the NBA. The NBA is getting that European money, and they're getting big dollars from China. So, yeah, everybody knew what that was about.
Adam Silver very quickly realized, we may want to kind of back up a little bit with this whole protecting China.
Exactly.
And we're going to take a hit, and a lot of players came behind him. And then you saw Steve Kerr kind of defending, well, we're about freedom of speech, and he realized maybe I got to change my content on what I'm saying about China.
Pat,
okay, well,
valuetainers love Ray Crockett.
They
are saying in the comment section how much they love you. They said, yeah, you've done a great job sitting in the seat. And the truth is, we didn't even get to some of the fun stuff that we're going to talk about.
First of all, I got to tell you, but they do love Ray Crockett. But it's like we ran a poll. 98% of the fans watching right now say there's no way in the world Ray could stop Pat on the football field. There's a poll going on.
98% of those guys sell insurance.
Oh, come on. Give it to right there. Wow, bro.
And I'm about to be 99%.
Oh, my word. That was great.
We're going to see what's going to happen there when we
Believe
get on the
me, Pat,
field.
once I finish getting my license, I'll let you score a couple of times.
Maybe we ought to get on the field and man, I show you a couple Middle Eastern tight end moves. You've never seen it in the football before. But anyways, hey, gang, a couple things as we're wrapping this up. Press that subscribe button and turn on the notification right next to it so you get alerted. Many of you guys got the text this morning, but as we're building up this channel, be sure to put a sub and a alert, and afterwards let us know what you like most about today's podcast. I believe the next one's going to be next Wednesday morning, same time. We will not be back next Tuesday, but we will be back next Wednesday, and we'll let you know who'll be the guest. It'll be a surprise for you.
Press that We Want Ray Crockett button.
Hey.
Have a great one, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Oh, we are? Bro, you are so much fun, dude.